Amber Heard. Amber Heard's Hollywood career began with breakout roles in Pineapple Express and The Rum Diary, and her casting as Mera in DC's Aquaman positioned her as a rising star. That trajectory unraveled with her highly publicized marriage and divorce from Johnny Depp. In 2018, she wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post aligning herself with the Zasa Me Too movement, briefly elevating her profile as an outspoken feminist voice. The 2022 defamation trial, however, reversed public opinion. Testimony, recordings, and contradictions in her statements led many to view her as manipulative rather than a victim. Social media backlash was massive. Petitions to remove her from Aquaman 2 gained millions of signatures, and Warner Brothers slashed her screen time in The Lost Kingdom. While Depp's career rebounded, Heard's has stalled, with studios now hesitant to cast her. Her story stands as a cautionary tale of how quickly credibility and career momentum can collapse. Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot's rise was meteoric when she debuted as Wonder Woman in Batman vs. Superman 2016 and led Wonder Woman 2017. That first solo film was hailed as groundbreaking, both critically and commercially, establishing her as a face of female empowerment in Hollywood. She was praised as a symbol of strength and grace, and Warner Brothers positioned her as the centerpiece of the struggling DC Extended Universe. However, her career momentum suffered a steep decline after Wonder Woman 1984. The 2020 sequel was highly anticipated but quickly became a disappointment. Critics pointed to an incoherent plot, cartoonish villains, and forced attempts at humor that stripped the character of her gravitas. What had been a cultural moment in 2017 turned into one of DC's most mocked films just 3 years later. At the same time, Gadot was hit with criticism for her infamous Imagine video during the early pandemic, in which she and other celebrities sang John Lennon's song from their mansions. Instead of uplifting viewers, the video was blasted as self-indulgent and tone-deaf, symbolizing the disconnect between Hollywood elites and ordinary people struggling through lockdowns. Her attempts to branch out beyond Wonder Woman also fell flat. Her planned Cleopatra film sparked controversy for casting her, an Israeli actress, in a role critics said should go to a Middle Eastern or North African actress. The backlash forced delays and retooling of the project. While she remains a recognizable star, Gadot's reputation has shifted from feminist icon to an example of how quickly celebrity goodwill can collapse when projects underperform and activism is seen as shallow or out of touch. Mindy Kaling. Mindy Kaling first rose to prominence as a writer and actress on The Office, before creating and starring in the Mindy Project. She was celebrated for breaking barriers as one of the few South Asian women in Hollywood with creative control over her projects. For years, Kaling was praised as a pioneer of diversity in comedy and became a go-to figure for studios eager to back female-driven, multicultural content. But her later projects have fueled major backlash. Her Netflix series, Never Have I Ever, was initially well-received, but some critics argued it leaned too heavily on stereotypes. The real turning point came with Velma, 2023, an animated Scooby-Doo spin-off in which she voiced Velma and served as executive producer. The series was marketed as edgy and inclusive, reimagining Velma as South Asian and other characters with new racial and sexual identities. Instead of being applauded, it faced enormous criticism for awkward writing, mean-spirited humor, and what audiences saw as forced woke messaging. Review scores plummeted and it became one of the lowest-rated shows in HBO Max history, trending on social media not for praise, but for widespread mockery. The backlash was particularly damaging because Kaling had built her brand on being both relatable and progressive. To many viewers, Velma symbolized Hollywood's tendency to lecture audiences instead of entertain them. Once celebrated as a trailblazer, Kaling's reputation shifted, with critics accusing her of prioritizing ideology over storytelling. While she still commands influence as a writer and producer, she is now considered one of the most divisive figures in modern TV comedy. Evangeline Lilly. Evangeline Lilly was first known for her breakout role on the hit series Lost, where she earned a Golden Globe nomination and quickly became a fan favorite. She transitioned into film with The Hurt Locker and landed a key role in Marvel's Ant-Man franchise, playing Hope Van Dyne, the Wasp. At one point, she was set up as a potential leader in Marvel's next generation of heroes, giving her long-term career stability. But her public stances during the COVID-19 pandemic created major controversy. Lilly openly rejected lockdown measures and vaccine mandates, attending rallies and making statements about government overreach. In Hollywood, where most celebrities promoted compliance with public health measures, Lilly's position stood out, and not in a good way. She was widely criticized by both fans and fellow actors for being irresponsible. This, combined with her sometimes strained relationship with the press, began to chip away at her reputation. The professional blow came with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania in 2023. Positioned as a pivotal film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it failed at the box office and was panned by critics as messy and uninspired. Many felt Lilly's performance was flat, and her character lacked the charisma to carry the film. Instead of cementing her as a female lead for Marvel, the movie left her future in the franchise uncertain. Today, Lilly is regarded as a star whose personal activism and association with one of Marvel's weakest entries combined to derail what should have been a peak career moment. Amandla Stenberg. Amandla Stenberg became a breakout star after The Hunger Games, 2012, where her role as Rue made her a fan favorite. Early in her career, she was celebrated as a voice of her generation, outspoken about issues of race, gender, and identity. She became a social media figurehead for progressive causes, with her commentary often going viral. Hollywood initially embraced her as a promising young activist-artist hybrid. However, her career has been overshadowed by controversy surrounding her activism and how it translated to her roles. Stenberg frequently positioned herself as a critic of Hollywood's lack of diversity, but critics argued she leaned too heavily into identity politics. For example, she publicly stated she turned down the role of Shuri in Black Panther because she felt it wasn't appropriate for a light-skinned actress to take the part. While praised by some, others saw it as unnecessarily divisive. Projects like The Hate U Give, 2018, received critical acclaim, but her later career choices drew less attention and fewer opportunities. Most recently, her involvement in Disney Plus's The Acolyte, 2024, brought more controversy than celebration. The Star Wars spin-off was pitched as a groundbreaking female-led series, but faced major fan backlash for perceived political overtones, lackluster writing, and its heavy-handed approach to diversity. Stenberg became a focal point of criticism, with fans targeting her both for her activism and her association with a franchise accused of being derailed by wokeness. While she remains a talented actress, her career is now defined more by cultural debates than by strong performances or box office success. Elizabeth Banks. Elizabeth Banks started as a versatile actress in comedies and dramas, eventually gaining mainstream recognition in the Hunger Games series as Effie Trinket. She expanded her career into directing, which initially seemed promising with her success in Pitch Perfect 2, 2015. Hollywood positioned her as one of the few women breaking barriers behind the camera, and she became outspoken about the need for female-driven projects. The turning point came with her Charlie's Angels reboot in 2019. Banks directed, produced, and starred in the film, framing it as a feminist reimagining of the classic franchise. But the movie bombed at the box office, grossing only $73 million on a $55 million budget. Instead of attributing the failure to poor marketing or execution, Banks blamed sexism, claiming audiences were unwilling to support female-led action films. Critics and fans pushed back, pointing out that franchises like Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel had proven female-led blockbusters could succeed if done well. Her comments created a perception that she deflected accountability, turning what could have been a career setback into a public relations disaster. Banks has since continued working in Hollywood, including directing Cocaine Bear, 2023, which found moderate success, but her reputation remains tied to the Charlie's Angels controversy. Many now view her as a cautionary example of how Hollywood activism can alienate audiences if paired with underwhelming creative output. Thandiwe Newton. Thandiwe Newton earned critical acclaim with roles in Crash, 2004, Mission: Impossible 2, and later Westworld. She became known for her willingness to speak out about racial and gender inequality in Hollywood, and she was often celebrated as a bold, outspoken actress unafraid to challenge the system. However, her bluntness has also created controversy. In interviews, Newton has repeatedly criticized the industry, claiming it tokenizes women of color while simultaneously sidelining them. While many applauded her honesty, others argued her statements often alienated fans and fellow actors. A particularly divisive moment came in 2022 when she publicly apologized to darker-skinned actresses for being chosen for roles they could have played. While meant as solidarity, the comment sparked backlash, with some accusing her of patronizing or exploiting identity politics. Professionally, her career momentum stalled after Westworld began to decline in popularity and was eventually canceled. She left projects like Magic Mike's Last Dance amid rumors of behind-the-scenes conflicts, adding to the perception that she had become difficult to work with. Newton's talent remains unquestioned, but her reputation has shifted from respected trailblazer to polarizing figure, with her activism and outspokenness overshadowing her acting career. Rose McGowan. Rose McGowan was once best known for her roles in Scream, 1996, and the hit TV series Charmed. However, she became a central figure in the Me Too movement, famously speaking out against Harvey Weinstein and detailing her experiences of abuse in Hollywood. For a time, she was hailed as one of the bravest voices in the industry, helping to expose systemic misconduct. But as the movement evolved, McGowan's public persona shifted from activist hero to polarizing critic. She frequently clashed with fellow actresses, accusing them of performative feminism and hypocrisy. She targeted stars like Alyssa Milano and Meryl Streep, claiming they benefited from the very system they pretended to oppose. Her social media presence grew increasingly combative, often sparking headlines for fiery rants and controversial statements. This combative style alienated parts of Hollywood and the broader feminist movement. Instead of being embraced as a lasting leader, McGowan became an outsider, respected by some for her uncompromising stance, but dismissed by others as bitter and destructive. Her acting career never recovered after her activist turn, and she has largely been pushed out of mainstream projects. Today, McGowan is remembered more for her controversies and feuds than for her early film and TV work. Susan Sarandon. Susan Sarandon is an Oscar-winning actress with a decades-long career, known for roles in Thelma and Louise and Dead Man Walking. She has also been one of Hollywood's most outspoken political activists, frequently making headlines for her left-wing views. While her activism earned her admiration in some circles, it has also alienated large swaths of the public and even the industry. Sarandon sparked controversy during the 2016 U.S. presidential election when she suggested that Hillary Clinton was just as dangerous as Donald Trump and even implied a Trump win might bring on the revolution. These statements outraged liberals who once saw her as an ally, branding her a spoiler who undermined democratic unity. Beyond politics, she has been vocal on issues ranging from foreign policy to climate change, often in ways critics describe as extreme or conspiratorial. Her outspoken persona has gradually overshadowed her acting. Casting directors reportedly see her as polarizing, and her projects in recent years have not matched the prestige of her earlier career. While she remains a Hollywood icon, her reputation has shifted from beloved actress to political lightning rod, with her activism often cited as a key reason her career slowed down in its later years. Ellen Page/Elliot Page. Elliot Page, formerly Ellen Page, rose to fame with Juno, 2007, earning an Academy Award nomination, and later starred in Inception and X-Men: Days of Future Past. Page was once one of Hollywood's most promising young actors, known for naturalistic performances and indie credibility. However, Page's activism has consistently defined and complicated their career. As Ellen, Page came out as gay in 2014 and became a vocal advocate for LGBTQ+ rights, often criticizing Hollywood for its lack of inclusion. While celebrated by many, Page also drew criticism for framing colleagues and the industry in negative terms, sometimes creating tension within Hollywood. In 2020, Page publicly came out as transgender, transitioning to Elliot Page. While this announcement was met with widespread media support, it also sparked backlash in parts of the fanbase, particularly over Page's continued involvement in the Umbrella Academy and the decision to integrate their transition into the storyline. The transition coincided with a noticeable decline in major acting roles outside of television. Critics argue that Page's activism, while groundbreaking, has overshadowed acting, making them more of a cultural figure than a Hollywood star. While Page remains influential in activist circles, their mainstream acting career has cooled significantly compared to their peak. Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg is a legendary actress and EGOT winner, with a career spanning films like The Color Purple and Ghost. However, in recent decades, she has become better known for her role as a co-host on The View, where her outspoken political commentary and frequent controversies have defined her public image. Goldberg has repeatedly sparked outrage with statements on race, religion, and politics. A particularly damaging moment came in 2022 when she stated on air that the Holocaust was not about race. The comment was widely condemned as inaccurate and offensive, leading to a 2-week suspension from ABC. While she apologized, the incident reinforced her reputation as a celebrity whose activism and commentary often cross into controversy. Her acting career has slowed considerably, and she is now primarily known as a daytime television personality. For some, she remains a trailblazer. For others, she represents the pitfalls of mixing celebrity with unchecked political commentary. Her reputation today is far more divisive than during her peak acting years, and her career legacy has been reshaped by controversy.